the freedom of failing other people's dreams for you. I'm going to pause for a second for you to really sink that sentence in. This is a very heartfelt topic for me, and I'm so glad to be here to be talking about this today. And I'm sure at the end of my talk, most of you will relate to me. Because all of us, and I mean all of us, from teachers to parents to students, growing up, we've all heard the same question over and over again. What do you want to be when you grow up? And an answer to that question is always expected. But what if you don't have an answer? Or I might as well say, what if you don't have an answer that people will recognize? Because we live in a world where success is treated like a blueprint. And we hand it out to kids like a prescription. Be ambitious, they say. But what they really mean is be ambitious in the way we recognize. Maths, science, business, medicine, engineering. Anything else is just a cute hobby. But when does that happen? Where do we draw the line from actual dreams to reality? When you're like 4 years old, you want to be an astronaut. I wanted to be one. When I was in first grade, I really wanted to be an archaeologist. And I vividly remember my dear primary school teacher telling me that that would be hard to do here. When I was in 5th grade, I wanted to be a quantum physicist because classes started to get more serious and my grades were really good. So I thought, I'm so smart, I should be a quantum physicist because quantum physics is hard and complicated, and I thought maths and science and physics and quantum suited me. Then just a year later, I decided to be a hairdresser. And I remember telling my parents and my dad really laughing at me. And at that time, I felt like I was too good to be a hairdresser. So I gave up on that dream, and the same year, I decided to be an astronomer. I really wanted to be an astronomer, but I was like, how does one even become an astronomer? So I gave up on that dream too, because I felt like the circumstances would never be right. Then, for like a while, I wanted to be nothing. I had no idea. My mind was fully blank. All throughout 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th grade, I wanted to be nothing. I wanted to do nothing. But then, in 11th grade, I wanted to be a fashion designer. And I remember we were just like at the second week of the whole year. We were in PE class. We were like 3 to 4 classes. We were sitting at the benches, and the teachers were asking us and taking notes of what we want to study at university. And I said fashion design. But for some reason, I couldn't help but feel a bit embarrassed because people were saying like, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an engineer. And I felt like being a fashion designer was something less, like I was more than a fashion designer. And people couldn't help but project this idea of greatness onto me. But then a year later, in 12th grade, I've officially decided that I wanted to study literature at university because I finally realized my passion for reading, writing, books, and just language in general. But there was an issue. In high school, here, I was in the Turkish maths class, and I was going to an extra course outside of school for a university exam. I was also in the Turkish maths class. So I was full on studying for 11th and 12th grade maths, Turkish literature, 11th, 12th grade history, even though I wasn't going to take the exam for that. I didn't want to take the IAT exam, I just wanted to take the English exam. But all my teachers, and even my parents sometimes, told me that I should have a backup plan. And that backup plan meant that I might end up taking the IAT exam, and I might end up studying something I don't want to. Which sounds bizarre, right? Because why would my backup plan be studying something like psychology or law instead of like language studies, which is more aligned with what I want to study, which is literature. But again, as I said, people couldn't help but project this idea of greatness onto me. And at times, I genuinely fell for this. I genuinely considered taking the IAT exam. Because what if they were right? What if my mind changed? What if I was actually settling for something less than my capabilities? What are my capabilities? I remember one time I was at my extra course and I had this really lovely and funny teacher. He was a math teacher, and I was in a math class, which I wasn't even going to take the exam for that. He wrote an equation on the board and told us the first to solve it gets a free Starbucks drink. And it was hot outside, and it was around May, So we were so close to taking the actual university exam. So it was a great motivation and just a nice challenge. And I solved it. And I made him get me a venti-sized chocolate chip frappuccino. And then we were sitting in this communal area with all of my friends and so many of my other teachers. I was just enjoying my drink, sharing it with them. And my teacher came up to me in the middle of everyone and looked me dead in the eye and told me it's such a shame that I will be wasting my potential. Wasting potential. As if my value is only measured by how prestigious, how marketable, how difficult my degree is. As if me being good at something, me being able to do maths automatically means that I enjoy it or I want to pursue a career in that. And I didn't. As if loving poetry, philosophy, French literature would make me something less. And I thought about this a lot. And in the morning of the IET exam, I woke up to take the exam, and then I laid back in my bed and slept till the English exam. Then I went and took the English exam, and I cannot tell you how relieved I felt, because now no one could pressure me because I didn't take the exam. And then when it was time to choose my university and my program, I chose French language and literature at Istanbul University, and I cannot tell you how happy I am. I love all my classes, which is so insane. I enjoy studying because I enjoy what I'm studying. Last week I had my midterms, and I literally wrote a 3-page fantasy story about princesses and dragons. And the next day, I wrote all about the symbolisms during Renaissance period in France. And I could have never been happier. So I want to thank my mom for helping me get here. She also studied literature. And I just want to say, because we always have this idea of ourselves, and also people have this idea of us, you should never give up on your dream. Because at the end, anything you want to do can happen. Last year, in the beginning of last year, I joined the archaeology club at school, like how I wanted to in first grade. And then in the beginning of this year, I joined the astronomy club, like how I dreamt of in 6th grade. And also in the beginning of this year, I joined the program for fashion design illustration at Vakko Esmod, and I'm currently on my final finishing project, and it's definitely become something I so deeply enjoy and want to continue in the future. So I just want to say, literally anything you dream of is gonna happen at the end if you chase it. No matter the number of obstacles, the people telling you no, you have to chase that dream. Because if you don't fail your own dream, your dreams won't fail on you. And in order for that to happen, you sometimes gotta fail other people's dreams for you. Thank you for listening.